Hello everyone. So this is second video in series of our discussion on urban local bodies. Prior to this, we already have delivered one video on urban local bodies, and prior to that, we already have delivered three videos on Panchayati Raj institution. And mind you, we were discussing part 9 of Indian Constitution, and prior to part 9 of Indian Constitution, we have delivered lectures on part 1 of Indian Constitution, part 2 of Indian Constitution, part 3, part 4, 4A, part 5 Union, part 6 States, part 7 has been repealed. We do not have part 7 in Indian Constitution. Part 8 we did not discuss. Part 8 is scheduled to be discussed after this part. So we were discussing part 9 of Indian Constitution, and as part of discussion on part 9 of Indian Constitution, we have delivered lectures on Panchayati Raj institution, and we are right now in urban local bodies. So one video has already been released, and there is, after this second video, there will be one another video. So in 3 videos we should be able to cover urban local bodies as well. So let us see what is going to be the scope of this particular video. So there is only one topic, and this topic is going to be little lengthy, and that's why I have decided that only one topic will be taken in this lecture. So this video has been divided into 2 legs. In the first leg we will discuss type of urban center. In the second leg you have these 3 MCQ that has been appended for you to attempt, right? So you will attempt these 3 MCQ and let us know into the comment section answer of these questions. Now without wasting time, let us start discussing these 7 type of urban centers. So if you can see on the screen, you have these 2 broad classification, 4 on this side and 3 on this side. You have this municipal corporation, municipal council, notified area committee and town area committee. This notified area committee in short format, it is also referred as NAC, and town area committee as TAC, TAC, TAC. Now 3 urban center on this side, that is township, cantonment and port trust. So 4 plus 3, 7 urban center that we will discuss in this video. Now if you notice the 2 broad classification that has been created on this screen, 4 plus 3. Now let me declare that this broad classification that you are seeing on the screen, 4 plus 3, that categorization is neither constitutional nor statutory, right? Constitution has not mentioned this kind of classification, nor any state has come up with any kind of act with this kind of classification. So the question arises that why I have created this broad classification. The purpose of me classifying these 7 urban center into these 2 broad classification is that you can easily remember. So see, as far as these 4 urban centers are concerned, these 4 urban centers are designated or administered by the cities or by the state government or union government. As far as administration of these 3 urban centers are concerned, these 3 urban centers are taken care or are designed or are designated by the employers. When I am saying employers, so in case of township, these township, when we will discuss in the detail, you will notice these townships are developed by large organizations like Tatas, large organizations like Gender, large organization. It can be private organization as well, and it can be these public organization like GAIL and BAIL as well. So these kind of urban center that you can see on the screen, port trust, cantonment and township. So these urban center has been created by various employer. Cantonment are created by Ministry of Defence and central government for the to upkeep the residential area of their employees. Who are the employees of this Ministry of Defence? So you have these combatant forces. We do have forces like army, right? So in normal times, not in war times, in normal time they do reside in cantonment, so they do have their families. Now the areas are very sensitive. The area they live in is very sensitive, very vulnerable from security point of view. Now the upkeep of that area cannot be given to the civilian administration like this commissioner or municipal corporation, and that's why as far as cantonment zone, the civilian area of this cantonment zone is concerned, that will be taken care by this cantonment board that is created by central government. So central government is employee of that army, and they will take care of this civilian requirement of that particular area. Similarly with respect to the port trust, so in port areas as well, you have various port which are managed in a private manner, and they do have their employees as well. So they do have residential areas for their employees as well. So who will take care? So ultimately these port trust boards take care of the civilian requirement or municipal requirement of that particular. Similarly, this township I already have described that you do have these Tatas, you do have this Jindal or public sector organizations. So these three urban centers are created and managed by the employers, right? Employer can be government as well, and employer can be private sector as well. While these four urban centers that you can see, these four kind of urban centers you will find in regular cities like Gurugram or Hyderabad or Chennai or Bengaluru or Delhi, right? So this is the two broad classification that I have created so that you can easily remember, right? Now let us try to understand that what approach we are going to take while covering these 7 urban centers. So what we will be doing is that out of these 7 urban centers, you have these 3 urban centers, that is municipal corporation, municipal council and notified area committee. So this is most sought in prelims as well and mains as well. As far as relevance of these 4 urban centers, that is town area committee, port trust, townships and cantonment zone is concerned, right? Mind you, cantonment I am saying, not containment zone, that is widely prevailing in this corona times, right? So this is cantonment, right? So as far as relevance of these 4 urban centers is concerned, this is mostly important from your prelim point of view, right? So we'll have a detailed discussion on these 3 urban centers, that is municipal corporation, municipal council and then Nagar Panchayat. As far as these 4, so these 4 urban centers will touch marginally from prelim exam point of view itself, right? So mostly as far as these 4 urban centers, mostly the questions are asked that okay, whether this is a nominated body or partially nominated body or elected body, which is the deciding authority, whether a state executive, whether a state legislature. So mostly the question from these 4 urban centers will be of that nature, right? So that's why I said that these 4 urban centers I'll touch briefly. As far as these 3 urban centers are concerned, regarding the composition, method of election, right, those things we'll discuss, or the organizational structure for these 3 urban centers we'll discuss in detail. So after having made the declaration, let us enter into next slide and let us start discussion on this municipal corporation. Again, a caveat or information, if you remember in the previous video we had taken example of that city called Bagpat in Uttar Pradesh, and thereafter this was a New Delhi, and en route you had these 2 cities. One city was something like Kalburgi or something like that, and thereafter another city you had this Shahadra in the Ghaziabad region, and there we had declared that it is on the basis of population that a particular city will get tag of municipal corporation or municipal council or Nagar Panchayat. So we had there described that this is Delhi, right? This is a mostly populated, or cities like the Delhi or Bengaluru or Chennai or Kolkata, which is populated, hugely populated. So those city will get this tag of municipal corporation. This Bagpat was being treated as Panchayati Raj institution, right? So as part of local self-government, you have these 2 kind of bodies, right? In the rural setup, you have these Panchayati Raj institutions. In the rural setup, you have these Panchayati Raj institutions, PRIs, and in urban setup, you have these urban local bodies, ULB. So this Bagpat area had been designated in this PRIs, Panchayati Raj institution. Thereafter, when we started moving from this rural area towards this urban city, that is New Delhi, right? In between, the population started increasing, and a city named this Kalburgi or something, that city name was, I don't exactly remember that what was the name of that city. So the point was that this city, when we started moving towards New Delhi, right, this city was populated, we found, and the population density was increasing. So to this city we had described as notified, or we had designated as notified area committee. So I hope that point you will have clarity on, that when we start moving from a rural setup toward the urban setup, on the line, right, the population will start increasing. So the area which is in transition between rural to urban, right, it will have the characters of rural area as well, it will have some character of the urban area as well. So that city or that town will be described as, or given tag of Nagar Panchayat or notified area committee, right? Thereafter, when we again move toward Delhi, in between again we found a city that was Shahadra, lying into the Ghaziabad region, right? So that the population of this city was more than this Nagar Panchayat, but lesser than what you call this New Delhi, right? So to this city we had given tag of municipal council. Again the basis was population and population density, and thereafter New Delhi, that is municipal corporation. So one concept at least by now you will have clarity on, that as far as tagging or designation of cities are concerned, whether they will be categorized as municipal corporation, municipal council or nagar panchayat, that entirely depends on the population. Now what criteria of population, right? So that will be decided by individual state Panchayati Raj Act. There is no standard norm for or various states, right? Various state does follow different criteria while designating this city called municipal corporation. So for example, if you take example of this Gurugram, so Gurugram is city in Haryana. If you take example of this city called suppose Hyderabad, if I take, right, or Kurnool, if I take Kurnool in this Andhra Pradesh. Now suppose Haryana Panchayati Raj Act can dictate that we will, means Haryana government or Haryana legislatures in assembly can decide that we will designate one city as municipal corporation only when it attains the population of 20 lakh, while at the same time Andhra Pradesh government, led by this not government, it is actually the tagging of this municipal corporation is decided by the state legislature. So Andhra Pradesh state legislature may go on to decide that no, from our Panchayati Raj Act, in their Panchayati Raj Act, but they can put the criteria for deciding a city as municipal corporation, right? They can put that no, as soon as city attains this population of 10 lakhs, right, 10 lakhs, we will. So the point that I wanted to make, that from various states, right, this criteria can be different, right, and that's why I had given some different criteria in previous video. But the criteria largely that is followed across the state by various, means most of the state at least has come, means it is not a written agreement, but at least a widely agreed population criteria is 10 lakh. So as soon as city attains population or goes to cross this population of 10 lakh, thereafter this municipal corporation tag is given to that particular city. What is the population criteria for the municipal council? So for municipal council, you will see the population criteria is from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. So as soon a nagar panchayat or a city or a town crosses this population of 1 lakh, that city can be described as municipal council. That is the next. So that criteria we'll see. Let us discuss this municipal corporation. So as I told you that the how this municipal corporation members are elected, or what is this municipal corporation. So these are the super large city or the large cities like Chennai, large cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, right, Bengaluru. So these cities will be designated as municipal corporation, right? So this is, what is this municipal corporation? So these municipal corporations are, or these municipal council are nothing but this is a body of the local self-government created to administer or to plan the socio-economic development plan, to look into this public health, to look into this sanitation, to look into the street. So whatever issues that that particular city may have, right? So those kind of issues, right? Whatever items there are in 74th constitutional amendment that has created this 12th schedule. So in 12th schedule there are 18 functional items that is supposed to be looked. So those functional item which was hitherto or by 1992 which was being looked by the state until 1992. So through these 12th schedule, right, in 12th schedule, as I said, that there are 18 functional item that was supposed to be transferred from state to these local self-government or urban local bodies like this municipal corporation or municipal council, right. So now this municipal council, and now again this depends on state legislature, that out of 18 items, because of those 18 item that has been, or 18 functional item that has been put up in 12th schedule, not all the item has been shifted by the states to these local self-government or urban local bodies. It is, and this point we have already discussed in the Panchayati Raj institutions as well. So there you had these 29 items, and out of those 29 items there were progressive states like Tamil Nadu, there were progressive states like Kerala, which had transferred more of the items in tune of 22 or 23 items, but that is not the case with few other states in the northern India, right. So the similar thing we have here as well, right. So whatever area or whatever functional item that has been delivered by the state out of that 12th schedule, right. So those items, be it public sanitation, public health or education, primary education, also in some city, the state has interested to look into the primary education as well. Otherwise, the sewerage, drainage, right? So most of the state, almost every state has transferred these basic functions like this street lighting, or this digging the canals, or this what you call drainage. All these kind of issue most of the state has transfer. So that will be the job of this municipal corporation. That will be those areas which has been transferred from state to these local bodies. So that will be the job of this municipal corporation or municipal council. As far as if I talk about this election method, so most of the, not most of the, rather all the members of this municipal corporations are elected, right? Although there is concept of nomination as well, that these member of parliament or member of legislative assembly of that area. So suppose if I am taking the example of this city called Gurugram, right, or Hyderabad, let us take it, and this, suppose this Hyderabad city has been recognized or has been given the tag of municipal corporation. Now for the purposes of election, this whole of the city will be divided into the territorial constituency. As we divide our assembly, in the assembly election, our states are divided into multiple territorial constituencies. Similarly, for the purposes of election, whole of the city will be divided into the territorial constituency, and those territorial constituency will be called wards. From these wards, there will be multiple candidate will be contesting election. After that, one candidate will be elected, and suppose if there were 150 or 200, whatever number of ward that they had, right, so those 200 members will be elected, and those 200, out of those 200 members, they'll be sitting in this council. So the council will be a larger body. I'm talking about the organizational structure. So that council will be larger body. Now as far as the president or chairperson or the mayor, right, so the head of this council, municipal corporation, is called mayor, and the subhead will be called deputy mayor. Now how this mayor and deputy mayor will be elected, whether he or she will be elected directly or indirectly. When I am saying directly, so if a particular city, and that is incumbent on the state legislature, how they want their mayor of that particular city to be elected, whether directly or indirectly. So that is forte of state legislature. So suppose a state legislature decided that mayor of this particular city, and that will be defined ultimately into the Panchayati Raj Act of that particular state, right? So I hope that point you will have clarity on. So state legislature will design a Panchayati Raj Act, right, and in that Panchayati Raj Act, all these provisions will be defined, that okay, how many wards a particular city is going to be divided into, what will be the method of election of mayor. Mind you, these people, the head of this organization will not be called this chairperson. The head of this organization, that is municipal council, is called mayor and deputy mayor, right? So in that Panchayati Raj Act, these provisions will be clarified, and suppose a city or a Panchayati Raj Act of a particular state has defined that our mayor of that particular city will be decided or will be elected indirectly. So how the indirect election will happen? So suppose these 200 members out of these 200 wards has been elected for this Hyderabad city. Now these 200 members will will go on to form the council, and that council, among these 200 members, right, one member will be elected by these 200 members itself, amongst themselves, right. One member will be elected mayor and another member will be elected deputy mayor. Now this post of mayor and deputy mayor can also be subjected to the reservation, and again, whether that particular seat will be reserved for a particular category. What kind of category I am talking about? So this particular seat of mayor can be reserved for SC community or ST community or women. Again, that is also dependent on state legislature, and that thing also will be defined or put into the Panchayati Raj Act of that state legislature, right? So suppose a seat has been reserved for women, seat of a particular city, for the mayor post I am talking about. So for the mayor post has been reserved for the woman only. Now what is the meaning of reserving a seat of mayor for a woman? So out of 200, if a seat, suppose Andhra Pradesh Panchayati Raj Act decided that seats of mayor will be reserved for the women. So all those men out of these 200 members will not be eligible for these mayor posts. So suppose 102 out of these 200, right, 102 female candidates has been elected as ward councillor. So it is only 102 female candidate who can contest the election for this mayor post, I hope. However, voting will be done by all these 200 people, male and female, both ward councillor, but only these female candidate will contest the election for this post of mayor, right? So that is the meaning of reservation. Some states, to empower this SC community and ST community, has reserved for that seat, right, for SC and ST community. For example, my state, right, has reserved the seat of all the cities, mayor seats of all the cities for SC community, right? So it is only people belonging. So you will have election for the ward councillor. Out of those ward councillor, whichever members are belonging to the SC community, right, only those ward councillor can contest the election of the mayor and deputy mayor, right? So that is the point. Another provision that can be made or that can be defined into Panchayati Raj institution is that the term, what will be the term of that mayor. So the mayor, whether the term of this mayor will be coterminous with the term of this council. So the term of this council generally is 5 years. The term, when I am saying council, so I am referring to this body of 200. Council is nothing, council is this body of 200 ward councillors, right, or whatever number, or 100 ward councillor, whatever be the number depending on the population of that particular city. So council is nothing, council is combination of a body that consists of all the ward councillors, right? So whether the term of this mayor who has been indirectly elected, right, so whether the term of that mayor will be coterminous, means equivalent to the term of this council. So the council's term is generally 5 years. However, for some compelling reasons, state government may dissolve this body council prior to 5 years itself. However, there is one restriction, that if state government is dissolving this body, elected body, before 5 years, right, state government also needs to ensure that the election to this council or election in this city should be conducted within the 6 months of this premature dissolution, right? Now we were discussing about the term of the mayor. So the term of the mayor, whether it will be coterminous with the term of this council, that will again be defined into the by the state legislature into that Panchayati Raj Act, right? So most of the time, right, to empower again to give this seat to multiple people, what provision has been made by the various states, and I am again saying that will be decided by the state legislature. So I have read, as far as my reading has been concerned, I have read the provisions of 5 or 7 states, right? So those, all those 7 states, what they have done is that they have reserved, or they have the tenure of the particular mayor has been put up as 1 year, right? After the 1 year, again there will be election, and any other member out of that 200 ward councillor, right, will be again elected. Might be that the person who was earlier this mayor, right, he may again be selected, but after 1 year there will be election again. And election, when I am talking about, it is not the direct election, indirect election among these 200 members itself, right? So 1 year rotatable term has been put up for this post of mayor, but I am not guaranteeing that this, whatever means my limited, from my limited understanding, I have read only for these 5 or 7 states, but other state may have put up the condition that the mayor will continue, once elected a mayor will continue for whole of the 5 year, that is coterminous with the term of that council, right? So that is again incumbent on the state legislature whether they want to put the term of mayor as 1 year or 2 year or 5 year, right? So in exam, right, it will not be asked. If you are appearing for the state exam, then you will have to gather this information that for my state, what is the term of the mayor. As far as UPSC exam for this IAS and IPS is concerned, in that exam, right, it will not be, state specific questions are generally not asked. So the only thing that you have to remember, whether that post will be reserved for a particular community, SC, ST or women, what will be the term, right? So that is decided by the state legislature, right, through the Panchayati Raj Act. In the Panchayat, every state does have their Panchayati Raj, means you have at the what you call in 1993 you had this 1992 you had this Panchayati Raj institution, 73rd 74th constitutional amendment. Thereafter various states as well has created, following the guideline that has been mentioned in these 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. Following that, model states individually have created or designed their own Panchayati Raj Acts, right? At least means I have repeated this, and I have been repeating this point from last 5 videos, 3 videos in this Panchayati Raj institution when we were discussing, and this is the second video. So might be that I may sound repetitive on certain things, but my purpose of repeating those things, because those things happen, only those points are emphasized, those are very important from your exam point of view, and I want to make sure that at least those points, through this continuous emphasis, through this continuous repetition, right, at least those points you can remember, right? And make sure that whenever whatever I am speaking, because it is not humanly possible while designing, while creating this content, it is not humanly possible to put all the content on the slide, because there are many things that comes during the lecture. When while I am delivering the lecture, there are many things that has been put up in my subconscious knowledge during my preparation, right, during the studies, but during the content creation, all those things could not be put up or cannot be put up on these slides. So something comes spontaneously, right? So make sure that whatever things that I am saying, instead of concentrating only on the slide, pay attention to what I am speaking as well, right? So I hope that declaration you will have. Now this municipal corporation can be divided into this deliberative body and executive body. What is the meaning of this executive body? What is the meaning of legislature? I'll expect you that you will by now, after when we already have covered these many chapters on assembly, chapter on parliament, right? I'll expect you that at least these basic terminologies you will not expect me to clarify in every chapter, and the viewer who are, or the student or the aspirant who are making this mistake to not follow these lectures in a sequential manner, you are doing that damage to yourself. Let me tell you, if you do not have clarity on the basic terminologies, I can guarantee you that you will not be grabbing 100% of the chapter. So I'll suggest you that if you are watching these videos unsequentially, without if you have a grip on the polity, well enough, good enough, right? I don't have any issue. But if you are a starter, if you are a beginner, make sure that you watch the earlier lectures first and then come back to these lectures, because on those previous lectures, the basic terminology is what is the role of executive, what is the role of legislature, what is the role of the judiciary, the separation of power, the basic parliamentary parlance, the terminologies, the vocabularies of parliamentary system, all those things has been clarified, and we are in little advanced stage. So here I do not expect you to expect me to cover these kind of terminologies, and I just give a pass by, right? So you may not be understanding 100%. Now returning with that direction, let me return to this topic now. So this may be divided, this municipal corporation may be divided into this deliberative body and executive body. Now what is this deliberative body? So in the when we were discussing this parliament and assembly, right? So this is nothing, I mean this at the city level, to this deliberative body you can simply take as parliament of that particular city or assembly of that city, right? So this deliberative body will sit together, will design the policies for that particular city, right? What is the requirement of that particular, what are the priorities, what is the resource collection, what is the, depending on the availability of resources coming from, what is the sources of finance, right? We have not discussed, we'll discuss in the third video, in the next video, what are the sources. So depending on the availability of resources from the center, from the state, from the tax collection, or from various non-tax method, right? right? So depending on the resources that they do have, they'll plan out that what are the priorities of our city, whether we should develop this infrastructure, whether we should concentrate on the basic function of the sanitation, of the waste management, or the public health management, or public primary education. So what are those priorities? Again, depending on the resource, right, they'll decide. So the purpose of this deliberative body, now who is going to sit into this deliberative body? Who will be presiding officer of this deliberative body? IAS officer? No, sir. The deliberative, because this is the deliberative body, right, and the planning part has to be done. Now this will not be planned, or this body will not be this planning or the resource allocation or anything that is related to that city's policy, right, that will not be decided by the unelecteds, right. These IAS people are what, right? These are, we are appointed people, right? We are belonging to this career service, right? We have been appointed for our life, right? So we cannot be given right to decide. Okay, means when we are at the level of this joint secretary, or when we are at the level of this, we are sitting into the secretariat, so we can suggest these council of minister, or even at this level we can consult these people, we can give an idea, but at the, as far as the final decision has to be concerned into the planning, right, that will be, because it is these people, these elected people, who does know the nerve of the people, because they have been elected. So they already know that what is the requirement of their ward, they already know what is the requirement of their constituency, they know that what is the, at the state level, they know that what is the requirement of their state, right, because ultimately they are accountable to the people. As far as we unelected, that is IAS officer or IPS officers, right, why often you would have seen that people are suggested, or these unelected IAS officer and IPS officers are suggested, at least without, means without flouting these constitutional provision, they are suggested to follow these guidelines of a member of parliament or member of legislature. At times you may find it कि यार हमें क्यों बोला जा रहा है that you should follow these guidelines, or to some extent the directions. Of course that should not be violative, or that should they should not direct us to do illegal kind of thing. If they are directing any such thing which is illegal, which is unconstitutional, of course we should not follow any such direction. We also have some conduct rule, we also have some these service rules, right? So we need to follow that as well. But as far as largely while you are serving into these, it is expected from you, because these people, these member of parliament and member of legislative assembly, or at the local self-government level, right, these ward councillor who does have real understanding or real requirement of the people. Although means you can claim that people or the politicians, right, their educational level you can comment on, your educational level you can compare and whatever, but officially when speaking officially, it is these people who have made some commitments, certain commitments regarding the development, regarding the planning to their people, and on those planks, on those developmental planks, they have been elected. So they have to deliver. So ultimately, and that's why it is expected that because these people have been elected on certain commitments, right, and it is the people, right, they are paying taxes for on the basis of those commitments, right. So it is expected from the system that system will ask these unelected to follow the guidelines issued by, or largely, means not always, but largely follow whatever suggestion that, at least those suggestion can be, their suggestion can be input for the planning, right. So in the, my whole point was that because of these factors, because of these differences between unelected and elected, because unelected, as unelected people, our accountability is not directly, I am saying, yes, of course our accountability is to people, of course our accountability is to constitution, of course our accountability is to legal principles, but largely speaking, right, our accountability is not directly to the people. It is the in comparison to member of parliament and in comparison to member of legislature, they have direct accountability. Direct, our accountability to the people is indirect. They have this direct accountability to the people, because on the promises that they have made in their manifesto, on the basis of those promises, right, they have been elected, and that's why. So coming to, so in this whole point was that in this deliberative body, right, it is the elected people, because the primary job of this deliberative body is that depending on the resources that they have available, they'll decide the priority of that cities, right. So in this deliberative body, it is the elected who are going to sit, and this elected body will have membership from these ward councillors at the city level, right? And then this will be headed, this will be presided by mayors or deputy mayor, right? In this meeting of mayors and deputy mayors, or this deliberative body, member of parliament and member of legislative assembly members can also sit, depending on whether state legislature has decided this or not, right? Most of the state legislature, their Panchayati Raj Acts includes the role of member of legislative assembly and member of parliament into this meeting. But again, this point is incumbent on the state legislature whether they have included this option into the Panchayati Raj Act or not, that whether member of legislative assembly and member of parliament belonging to that particular city, whether they'll sit into the meetings of the council, right? Again, let me clarify that this body, elected body, is nothing. This elected body is called council, right? Whatever membership, whatever number of ward councillor that city has, collectively those ward councillor meeting will be called council, right? So whether those MLAs and MPs belonging to this city will sit into the meetings of this council or not, that will be decided. Whether they'll have voting power while this council is taking any resolution, that will again be decided by the state legislature. Another class of people that can sit into the council meeting, that class of people is of these unelected, whether this IAS. So there is one category or one class that has been defined, which is called people with special knowledge. So people with special knowledge of the city administration, they can also be allowed to sit into the meetings of what you call these councils, right? So IAS commissioners, which who is head of this executive body, mind you, we are yet to discuss. So municipal commissioner, who is head of this executive body, right, he generally sits into the meetings of this council without right to vote, right, in the capacity or in that category, because he has been put up in that category of people having special knowledge of that particular city administration, right? So that third category of people, besides this ward councillor, besides this mayor and deputy mayor, besides this member of legislative assembly, member of parliament, right, people with special knowledge of that city administration, with that city problems, right, they can be asked that, hey, can you come, right, and attend these meetings. But only those people, right, if the question is specifically asked that a particular architect or particular executive engineer of this body, executive body, so this is a large organization consisting of these executive engineer, consisting of various planning people, various architect, various clerical staff, right? So this is a large body. This executive body is a large body, and the job of this executive body is to implement the decisions that has been, or the policies that has been taken by this deliberative body. Now, if a question is specifically asked that whether clerk of this municipal organization or the executive engineer of this municipal organization is allowed to sit in the meetings of this council or not, then they will not be sitting. But if this council has decided that a particular staff of this municipal organization, municipal corporation belongs to that special category, so under that special category, they can be called, any of the member can be called to the meetings of this council. If there is any question regarding the poor implementation of any program that had been, or any decision that had been taken by this body, deliberative body, into the previous meeting on the garbage cleaning of particular area, right? I mean, a decision had been taken that in next 3 months we have target, or we do have priority to clean this particular city, right? Or we have to plant, suppose, 6,000 trees in 2 months, and the responsibility is being assigned to the SDO or to the deputy collector, right, or the joint collector. And now if within 3 months, if that plan has not been implemented, if that plan has not been materialized, then accountability can be sought into the next meeting of this deliberative body, or into the meeting of that council, and that person who was accountable, who had been assigned to the assigned this duty of garbage cleaning or tree plantation, he can be called to the question, right? So that was the role of council. I hope you will have clarity by now on the role of the council. Now the next body is this standing committee. What is this standing committee? So if you remember, when we were discussing this parliament, we had discussed the role of parliamentary committee, right? So why this parliamentary committee had been created? So the role of parliamentary committee, so you have this Rajya Sabha, you have this Lok Sabha, which are very huge body, right? So it can't be expected to you have in Lok Sabha you have this 545 members, 543 members. In Rajya Sabha similarly you have these 245 members. Now from these 245 member body or 545 member body, it cannot be expected that they can discuss all the issues in the depth, right? So whichever issues or whichever policy of the Lok Sabha or whichever act or whichever bill of the Lok Sabha is to be decided or is to be discussed in depth or in breadth, so those kind of bills are referred to the standing committee. So the role of standing committee or role of parliamentary committee is to discuss something in depth, because this larger body may not have time. You have 200 ward councillor coming from various ward on a particular date. Now if on a particular topic, if all 200 people, because again these people may not have expertise on the resolution that is being taken up, but everybody wants to have, or everybody wants to have their participative role. They'll like to no, we do have knowledge, right? So everybody does have this priority, that because they come from political background, so they may have, they would like, because you do have people from press as well, so they would like to carve their role, but in the paucity of time, everybody cannot be allowed to speak on that issue, right? So those kind of issue which is specialized in nature, which is technical in nature, can be shifted to a standing committee, right? So a standing committee for various purposes can be created, for the garbage cleaning, for the drainage cleaning, for this health management, for the waste management, right? You may have 4 or 5 or 10 people, 10 ward councillor I am talking about, I am not talking about these administrative stuff. So you may create this council, which was a larger body, may create these standing committees of various ward councillor. Composition of that standing committee may be decided by the council, whether the composition may should be of 10 members depending on the importance of that particular topic, right? So suppose 6 member standing committee has been created for a particular city for the garbage cleaning, right? So now that standing committee will sit regularly, will decide कि भाई क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. So I hope the purpose of standing committee, right? So purpose of standing committee is to deliberate in depth the issue. So whatever role that parliamentary committee had, similar role this standing committee also does have. So I hope what is the role of council, what is the role of standing committee, by now you will have clarity on. Now we are moving on to next wing, and the next wing is executive wing. So executive, the job of this executive wing. So these people these people will meet regularly. Now regularly can be 15 days, regularly can be 1 month, regularly can be 2 months, every 2 months they can meet. So that will ultimately be decided by this council itself, right, depending on the requirement. So right now you have this rainy season, you have this wet season, right? So in these kind of season, right, every city, almost every city does have this problem of drainage, right? So there may be a meeting, right? There will be hue and cry from the citizens, right? If I am living in a city, and if my city, if the drainage or the sewer is being choked due to this continuous rain, right, I'll go to my ward councillor, right? I'll go to my parshads. In North India it is called parshads, right? So I'll go to my parshad as a citizen, right? I have elected that people, I have voted that ward councillor, so I'll go and ask him that, hey, because I am paying house taxes, I am paying these sewer taxes, right? So I'll ask, right? So when hue and cry is made, right, this ward councillor may call the meeting for that purpose. They can create the, so whatever decision that will be taken in this these meetings, now the implementation of that meeting depends on this executive body. This executive body, this municipal corporation's executive body is huge body, right? In the cities like this Bombay, right, or Mumbai, right, this body may have members in tune of 1 lakh or 2 lakh. In smaller cities it may be, my city as far as it is a 6,000 manpower body, right? So this 6,000 manpower body will be handled or will be headed generally by IAS officer. In cities like Delhi, you have multiple IAS officer, not one single IAS officer, but you may have at least 20 or 30 of IAS officer. For the purposes of proper management, Delhi has been divided, Delhi Municipal Corporation body has been divided into multiple bodies, South MCD, North MCD, East MCD. So those kind of categorization has been done for the proper management. So that particular municipal corporation will be headed by IAS officer, right? So he will be heading this executive. He is elected, unelected. He is appointed by the state government, right? So municipal corp who will be heading, so that body will be headed by municipal corporation, deputy commissioner or joint commissioner also, depending on what is the size of that particular city. So I hope the municipal corporation, we had detailed discussion what is the role of various bodies like council, standing committee and executive bodies, that we have clarity on. So municipal corporation, I hope you will have clarity on. Now we are moving on to next body, that is municipal council. So similarly municipal, now we have, since we have spent much of the time on the municipal corporation, I hope you will not have, or rather we will not have any difficulty on the municipal council. Now which city will be given this municipal council tag, right? So tagging we already have discussed, right? So those things that you can see here, right? So the criteria for this municipal corporation, again I am saying that this is not a statutory criteria. This statutory criteria can vary from state to state, right? This criteria has not been defined into the constitution, rather. So one point I would like to correct myself, that it may be, this classification may be a statutory criteria, but the statutory criteria not by the at the union level, but the statutory criteria by the state legislation. So if a particular state has defined that this is going to be criteria, this is going to be the population criteria for this particular state. So suppose Haryana decided this criteria, that as soon a city crosses this population of 10 lakh, then that city will be tagged as municipal corporation. As soon as a city has crossed this population of 1 lakh, that city will be tagged at municipal council. Once a city has crossed this, or once a area has crossed this population of 10,000, that area will be notified as notified area committee. So for that particular state, this provision will become statutory. But again, I am repeating myself that in 73rd or 74th constitutional amendment, there is no such population criteria. So the population criteria for various state may differ from state to state. So I hope you will have clarity on this population criteria. So we were discussing this municipal corporation, we already have discussed municipal council. Now the provision of reservation, the provision of election, everything will remain same as far as the administrative structure or the deliberative body is concerned. That thing is also going to remain same in municipal council. The only thing that was changing, or few things that has been changed from the municipal corporation, that we'll discuss here, right? As far as other thing, whichever thing that you feel has not been discussed, it is not being discussed, because that does have similarity from this municipal corporation, right? So I hope that point you will have clarity on, right? So suppose a particular city has been given this tag of municipal council. So as we had divided this municipal corporation into two wings, similarly municipal council will also be divided into two wings, deliberative wing and executive wing. Executive wing will be led not by commissioner, so designation only will be changed as far as this executive. So in the municipal corporation, the head of executive was called this municipal commissioner or deputy commissioner or joint commissioner. But here the head of the executive wing will be called CEO, chief executive officer, right? And he will be unelected, he will be appointed by the state government, not the state legislature. As far as this deliberative body is concerned, similarly this municipal council will also be divided. For the purposes of election, this municipal council will also be divided into multiple wards. From wards you will have ward councillor. Those ward councillor will elect whether he'll be, so the designation, again here you have this mayor and deputy mayor, here you have this president and vice president. So this will be called this whether that president or vice president will be elected directly or indirectly, again that will be decided by the act through which this municipal council has been created, right? So this combination of president, vice president and ward councillor, this body will be called council. Collectively this body will be called council, and council will create this standing committee. The role of standing committee will remain same what we had here in standing committee. So I hope you will have clarity on this municipal council as well. Other functions, right, what will be the functions of municipal council? So whatever has been defined, whatever role that has been envisioned in the Panchayati Raj Act of that particular state, so that role or whatever item that has been transferred from state list to this Panchayati Raj institution, these urban bodies, those role these municipal councils or municipal corporation will play. So I hope you will have clarity on this municipal council. Now we are moving to the next body, that is notified area committee. Now one difference that needs to be made, that these bodies, municipal corporation and municipal council, along with town area committee, we are going to study this. What is this town area committee? That in shorthand you can call TAC, TAC, town area committee, right? So this municipal corporation, municipal council and town area committee's designation, which particular city will be called municipal council, municipal corporation or town area committee, that is decided by the state legislature. So make it a note. Although we do have a dedicated slide that which body is going to give this designation, so you need not to make a note of that thing, but just it spontaneously came. So the designation of this municipal corporation, municipal council and town area committee is decided by the state legislature. As far as designation, which city will be designated as notified area, or which, not city actually. See this what is this notified area committee, or which area will be given this designation of notified area committee? So the area which was hitherto or which was until this rural area, but it is a fast developing or rapidly developing town, and it has some obtained some characteristic in terms of profession. So the profession that the residents of a particular area is acquiring, right? So those professions are in nature of this municipal corporation or the towns, right? People are not largely relying. What is the rural economy? Which area you described as rural and which area you described as towns or cities? So in the rural area you will see that most of the population will entirely, or their economy will largely be dependent on the agriculture. So as soon area starts developing itself or starts changing, the characteristic of the profession will start changing from agro based economy, right? If it is being driven on the economy that belongs to the state, so that area, right, transitional area from rural, means it does not have all the characters of the rural area and it does not have all the characters of the towns or cities as well. So those kind of transitional area will be given this category or will be given this designation of notified area committee. Now this notified area committee designation is not given by the state legislature, as has been the case in municipal corporation, municipal council or town area committee, but this designation will be given by the state executive or state government, you can say, right? State executive or state government. Similarly, as far as division or the organizational structure of this notified area committee is concerned, the organizational structure of this notified area committee is almost same as we had. It also does have deliberative body, it also does have executive body, but the difference here is that this council, right, council in the municipal corporation and municipal council, which was a elected body, entirely elected body, right, the council here is entirely nominated body. This notified area committee, again I am repeating that the difference between these, the council of this municipal corporation and municipal council, right, that was a elected body, but the council of this notified area committee is completely a nominated body, nominated by the state government, right? And the head of this notified area committee will be, so the designation or the name of the head has also been changed. Here you had this mayor, deputy mayor, then here you had this president, vice president, but here what you do have is chairperson and vice chairperson, right? Executive similarly, so you will have some IAS officer, right, unelected appointed, and he will be called chief executive officer. So as far as this organizational structure of these three very important urban centers are concerned, I hope the organizational structure of these three urban centers you will have clarity on, right? So whatever we had discussion on, right, I have put up that in text format as well, right? Just a moment. So these are the text format of municipal council. So whatever we already have discussed in this municipal corporation, right? As far as organizational structure, concept of reservation, how they are elected, what is the role of council, what is the role of standing committee, what is the role of executive, right? So all those things that we have discussed, all these things are here in the textual format. But since we already have discussed, right, this textual format is something that will help you in revision, so that we are not going to discuss here. You have this municipal council. So what is the population criteria, what is the reservation, what is the term, right, whether that can be revoked earlier than 5 years or not, what will be provision if it has been a particular urban local body has been dissolved prior to 5 years, prior to completion of their committed term, what will be the organizational structure. So all those things, the notified area committee, right? So all those things we already have discussed, how a area is defined as a notified area. So all those things already have discussed. One important slide or one master slide that I will describe, that you must remember, right? So these are the facts from which prelim questions are designed, and this is something that you must remember. So what are this thing? So this thing is nothing, means these are the type of urban, 7 type of urban body that we are discussing in this video. Now these, who will recognize these urban bodies, whether state legislature, whether state executive, whether union government. So that recognition authority in this column you have, and then whether that body will be elected or whether that body will be nominated. So the third column belongs to this. So if I talk about this point, we already have discussed. If I talk about municipal corporation, municipal council and town area committee, so the recognizing authority who will tag any city as municipal corporation, municipal council or town area committee, so that we already have done, that power belongs to the state legislature. So these 3 body in the same color, right? So the color scheme as well you will have to concentrate, and this color scheme will help you in remembering these things, right? So these 3 bodies, if you can remember, and these 3 similarly colored boxes, if you can remember. So these 3 bodies or these 3 urban center will be recognized by state legislature. As far as notified area committee, so this is what notified area committee will be, means a city or if a fast developing town is to be designated as notified area. So what is the word notify? Who is going to know, who will notify? Means you have this gadget in which the notification will be issued. So how, means who is the deciding authority whether a notification is to be issued or not? So that will be decided by the state executive, right? So the designation of any fast developing area, right, as notified area committee will be done by state executive. What is this cantonment board? So cantonment board is nothing but a board or a trust that is being created. So this cantonment boards are established by this central government through a parliamentary act, right? And the cantonment board will discuss cantonment board, right? So this remains under what you call the administrative control of Ministry of Defence, right? And it will be decided the recognizing authority, right? There are separate acts. See, let us understand the role of central government and parliamentary act. So parliament has already designed an act in relation to the creation of cantonment boards. Now parliament has given this authority to the central government. Now after creation of that act, in act itself a provision has made that regarding creation of new cantonment boards, right? The central government is now empowered that they can decide for the creation of new cantonment board, right? So it is the central government in relation to the cantonment board. As far as this township and port trust are concerned, this is done by, so townships are developed by these large organizations. So you have this Tata Nagar in Jamshedpur, you have city in Haryana, Hisar, right? So most of the time these large organizations are going to create these township, although means the state control will be there, but development of that means ultimately state has limited resources. So if any body or if any organization, any private entity or public organization, right, public sector enterprise interested in developing the residential areas for their employees, right, what harm state does have, right? As long as their laws are allowed there, what harm, right? Because ultimately these public organization or these large organizations like Tatas, right, if they are taking care the financial, ultimately what is the deciding authority or what is the most important thing in the city administration? It is finances, right? So as long as these people are investing and developing these township, does not matter how that big or how small it is, right, the state government will not have problems. So the recognizing authority for this township, large organization. As far as port trust is concerned, it is the union legislature that decides that whether a particular port will be recognized or they'll have that port trust board or not. So that will be determined by the union legislature or the parliament. Whether that body, these body will be elected, the members of these body, how the members of these body will come from, whether they will come from election, nomination, or election plus nomination, few members from election and few members from nomination, or entirely nomination. So that you have in the third column. So as far as municipal council and municipal corporation is concerned, the membership or the ward councillor that is elected for this municipal corporation or municipal council, right? So that body, the council of this municipal corporation and municipal council, right, the council of that will come from, or the ward councillors are elected people. So the members of this municipal corporation and municipal council are elected. So whole of the council will be elected body. As far as town area committee is concerned, it will be partially elected and partially nominated body. As far as this notified area committee is concerned, it will be entirely nominated body. Notified area committee, entirely nominated body. And who is going to nominate members of this notified area committee? So members will be nominated by the state government, right? As far as this cantonment board is concerned, cantonment board takes care of these members of the combatant forces, right? So that will be a appointed body, that will be elected and nominated. So there will be some members belonging to forces, right? So they will be nominated in that board, and then you will have some elected members as well. As far as townships are concerned, because that is a private body, right? So there you may not have election. What you will see is that that particular factory or that particular company itself, right, they'll have a separate department, and there will be few people who will be entrusted the responsibility of the development of that residential area. As far as port trust is concerned, port trust is going to be elected. So the members of this port trust are responsible for the development of residential area of that particular, for that particular employees, or residential area for the employees of that company is concerned. So that body will be elected and nominated, right? So I hope this slide you will have clarity on. If you could remember at least this slide, right, I can guarantee you that many of the question of this, at least these four bodies, that was town area committee, NAC, right, then you have this port trust and township. So if you could remember the facts of this slide itself, right, in regards to these four body, you can respond all the prelim oriented question at least, right? So I hope that point you will have clarity. On the next few slide, we are not supposed to discuss municipal corporation, is also called Mahanagar Palika in Hindi, then municipal council, Nagar Palika you can say, then you have this notified area committee, right, that we already have discussed, right? So up until this point we already have discussed. Now discuss what is this cantonment board, right? So to the railway stations names, few railway station name, if you remember, you would have heard, if you are living in the northern India, right, you would have heard this railway station name: Agra Cant, Ambala Cant, Chandigarh Cant, Delhi Cant, right? So these, what is this Cant or railway station Cant suffix represent? So this is nothing, means this is a shorthand or short format to refer cantonment, right? So in nearby, in the vicinity of these railway stations, right, you will notice that there will be cantonment, or there will be residential area for the people belonging to the forces, right? So you have these people serving into the army, you have these people serving into different areas, right? And their base has been, means army is all the time not deployed on these borders, right? It is the BSF or ITBP people, right, or the CRPF, BSF, right, here on the Pakistan border, then ITBP on Chennai border, right, BSF on Bangladesh border as well, right? So it is these people who serve these borders. It is only in the time of war that the army is deployed, right? Right now you have on the Chinese border that incursion is ongoing, or this skirmishes are ongoing. So now in these kind of situation, regular army will be deployed. Otherwise, in normal time, these armies reside in these chhavnis, right? In Hindi it is called chhavni, and in English it is called cantonment, right? So in Haryana you have these two places. For air forces it is in Faridabad, for army it is in Ambala, then you have in Agra, then you have in UP, you have in Agra, UP, you have in Varanasi, right? Banaras also it is called, right? So similarly, in almost every state you have these areas, right? So the people, means these people does not reside alone there, right? They do have families as well. So there is some training center that is created, and there is residential areas for their families as well. Now, who is going to take care of the residential, the developmental function or the municipal functions, right? In normal cities like Delhi, Gurgaon, it is the city administration, right? Or the local self-government, these urban local bodies, which does take care of developmental function. Now, in these kind of areas, right, which are from security angle, which are very sensitive. So this army itself or the Ministry of Defence has taken care of these kind of area, and for the purpose of upkeep, for the purpose of management, for the purpose of development, for the purpose of the whatever role that urban local bodies in normal city takes, right? So those role has been given to these cantonment board in these areas, these residential area that belongs to the employees of this combatant force, right? So I hope that clarity, the purpose of creation of this cantonment board would be clear to you. Now for a creation of, see, Parliament through these bodies has been earlier created by the Parliament Act in 2009, and by creation of this act, Parliament has delegated this authority to the central government, that every now and then, suppose now there is a necessity. So suppose in a small city called, suppose Barmer in Rajasthan, Barmer is a district. Now there is a necessity for the necessity is being felt for the creation of another cantonment zone, right? Cantonment board. Now every time you cannot be, means this Ministry of Defence cannot be rushing to the Parliament for the creation of another new this cantonment board. So in that case, central government has got the delegated authority by this Parliament Act. I hope you will have an idea on what is this delegated authority. So see, whenever legislations are designed, with this point we have discussed in the legislative process as well. So whenever these legislations are designed, or whenever a bill has been passed by the Parliament, these bills that has been passed by the Parliament, only broad guidelines or the broad parameter, broad provision only will be passed by these parliamentarians, right? As far as, so that will be only a skeleton. If I take my body as a bill, right? So what Parliament will be doing is that they will just be designing my skeleton. As far as this muscle filling or flesh filling or the small parts addition into my body, into that bill is concerned, that will be done by the government, state executive, right? And that is something called delegated authority, that as Parliament we have broadly designed the body, means skeleton. As far as this muscle filling, this eyes putting or the hair splitting, that is concerned, that will be done by these state executive. So that is a delegated authority, means we are delegating this authority to you, to the state executive, right? So similarly, Parliamentary Act in 2006 was passed, and by that act, or by that act, right, the state executive has been central government has been empowered, right, that for the creation of new cantonment board, right, they can take the decision. So in Barmer, if a new cantonment board is to be created, so the decision will be taken by the central government, that whether that should be created. As far as broad this administration is concerned, the administration of this cantonment board is largely done by the Ministry of Defence. So Ministry of Defence for a Barmer, right, will create this board, right? This board will largely responsible for all the municipal functions, for the drainage, for the sanitation, for the waste management, whatever role that these urban local bodies does, right? But ultimate control will lie with this Ministry of Defence. If there is some bigger issue, if there is some scam that is popping up, right? So in those kind of things, right, if the board cannot take care, or board cannot manage, or if board has been abolished for any reason, so the ultimate control lies with the Ministry of Defence, right? It will be elected and nominated body, right? So the members of this board will be both elected as well and nominated as well. That point we already have discussed. So that was about this cantonment board. If I talk about these townships, so what is this township? So as we already had discussed on the master slide when we were discussing these townships, so you have this city in Haryana, Hisar. So in Hisar you have these Jindal factories. Rather, Hisar is well known, right? In Haryana there are not many industrial cities, right? You have cities like Gurugram, you have cities like Faridabad, you have cities. Hisar is well known for what you call the Jindal factories, right? So the development function, not all across the Hisar, but few pockets of the Hisar, the development function has been assumed by the Jindal industry. Similarly, Jindal industry does have presence in Odisha as well, this Balasore and other district, Kendrapara district, if I can remember well. So those district development again means few portion, few pockets has been taken up by the Jindal. If I talk about another city, so in Jharkhand you have something called a city named Jamshedpur, right? So rather than Jamshedpur city is well known, or alternative, rather it is famously called Tata Nagar as well. Why this city is called Tata Nagar? Because it has been developed by this company called Tata and Sons. So this rather this Jamshedpur city. So what is this Jamshed stands for? So J.R.D. Tata you had, who was founder of these Tata and Sons, right? So this city itself derives its name from this industrialist. So whole of the upkeep of this city, if you will see the reviews of railway station there, if you will see how this municipal corporation, how these things runs there, right? Cities are very hygienic. This city, this Jamshedpur city, if I talk about, city is very hygienic, right? This public health management or this public sanitation, all these things are done in a very good manner, because this is being managed not by, of course, our government machinery, but the upkeep of those cities being taken care. And when I'm saying upkeep of whole of the city, so in relation to the Jamshedpur it is true, but as I said in relation to the Hisar, right, only certain pockets is being taken care. So those areas, the residential area, and why these people or why these industrialists take care of these cities, because those cities are dominated by their company, their industry, and they will have 5,000, 6,000 or 10,000 in tune of 1 lakh as well. They do have their employees, and when you do have employees, it is not the employees alone who stay, it is their families as well, right? So they do, means as part of CSR or as part of on compassionate angle, right? They do understand their responsibility towards their employees, so they do develop. I do have one friend in Hisar in Jindal factory working on, right? So he has been given this residential, although that company happens to be private, but the kind of facilities or the kind of services that has been extended to that engineer friend, right? So that is on par with the government, that is extended in many of the PSU, right? They do have these residential facilities, whatever garbage cleaning, whatever waste management, that is all being the educational requirement. Rather, this Jindal does have, again, I am not giving any kind of advertisement of any factory, right? But these are the things that I personally know. So the educational requirement of their children is also being taken care, and this is not only extended to the engineers of that company, right? It is for the everybody. It does not matter whether that is a 4th grade employee or whatever, right? So the educational requirement also is being taken care by this company itself, right? And this does not stand in relation only to these Jindal factories, but this Tata employees as well, as far as this Jamshedpur city is concerned. So that is true there as well. So there are many public sector employees as well. So what is my point? The point is that there may be residential areas where the employees, largely these employees of these companies reside, and that's why they do assume, these companies do assume the municipal functions, right? What are the municipal functions? So these drainage, public street lighting, all these things, right? So it is for this purpose. So these township, my point is that these townships are developed by these companies itself, right? Now this will not be an elected body, because this township is being taken care by these companies. So this will not be, there will be not any kind of election, there will not be, rather they will be nominated itself. You can call it at best you can call it that board, or whatever board that company would like to establish to take care of these functions, right? That will be an appointed board, right? So I hope you will have clarity on these townships as well. What is this town area committee? So town area committee, again we already have discussed. So a smaller town in many cities, right? So a smaller town are designated as town area committee by an act of state legislature, right? What will be the composition, what will be the manner of election, right? Whether they'll be coming by the members of town area committee will come by election or nomination, that will be decided by again by the state legislature. But once state legislature has decided that people will come by process of nomination or election, thereafter the role of state government will come into the picture, right? So I hope the town area committee means you just have to read once, right? All on the master slide, whatever relevant information we already have discussed. So all those things you have to discuss just once. What is this port trust? So port trust, as we already have discussed in the master slide. Again, you have how many ports we do have in India? How many major ports? 12, right? That is what written in most of the book, right? So it is not 12 actually. The number of ports, number of major ports rather, we do have 13 major ports, including the one Port Blair that had been created in 2013, and most of the books, geography books, has not updated that. So we do have, with addition of that Port Blair, right, as a major trust. Rather, in 2017 there was a news that the Port Blair may lose the status of this major ports status, right, because these ships or deliveries that it receives, right, that is not many in number. So it was likely to lose the status, major port status, but I again I am not sure on this, but you can confirm me whether there are this Port Blair has lost. From my best of knowledge, it is yet to lose, it is yet this major port trust. So including the Port Blair, right, we do have 13 major ports, right. So all these that has been the map that we do have, right, all these ports are not major ports, rather the port trust. This is a map of port trust. So what are the major ports that you can see on the mainland? So you have this Kandla trust, then you have this Mumbai, then JNPT, then Marmugao, then New Mangalore, then you have those in north Tuticorin, Cochin, then you have this Visakhapatnam, then you have in Odisha Paradip, and then you have this Kolkata. So these are the major ports that we do have on the western and eastern coast. So this was that Port Blair, right. So including the Port Blair, we do have these 13 major port trusts, right. So again, the way in the township those private industries were taking, or public sector enterprises like GAIL and BAIL were taking care of the families' requirement, the residential area of the families of their employees, right. Similarly, in these port areas as well, you have thousands of people, or in these Mumbai or JNPT, if I include, there are lakhs of employees that are working for these particular ports, right. So there are port trust boards that are created by act of parliament. Now the job of this port trust board is twofold. The first job is to upkeep or to take care or to manage these shipping requirements, the containers, whatever, so design policy in that regard. And the second requirement is to take care of the residential areas where employees of these port trust or ports are residing, their employees' residential area. So it is the second profiler, it is their second role that right now we are interested in, right. So the point that you have to remember, the key points, that these port trust boards are created by the act of parliament, right, and it will be elected, this body that will take care of the developmental function or municipal function of the residential area of the employees of that particular board, right. So that body will be elected and nominated. There will be few members who will be elected and there are few members who will be nominated. So I hope this port trust as well, you will have clarity on the basic function of this port trust board in regards to the developmental function, in regards to the municipal function, that will remain same as we do have in general city, to provide the drainage services, to provide the public health, to provide waste management, to provide primary education, street lighting. So all those basic functions that we do have in our regular cities. So the basic job of whether be a township, whether be town area committee, whether be port trust, right, that will remain same, right. So I hope this port trust as well you will have clarity on. Now we do have 3 MCQ that is scheduled for you to attempt. So this is the first MCQ, second MCQ, and the third MCQ. So these are the 3 MCQ that I expect you to attempt. So until we come up with the next lecture, so we do have one lecture at max and in that one lecture we would be able to wrap up the urban local bodies as well. So until we come up with that lecture, till then, bye bye.